high in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, surrounded by breathtaking landscapes, stands the Stanley Hotel. A place of elegance and grandeur, it has welcomed countless guests over the years. But beneath its luxurious facade lies a dark and chilling secret. For over a century, the Stanley Hotel has been a hotspot for paranormal activity, with stories of ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and an overwhelming sense of dread. This is the story of the Stanley Hotel, a place where the living and the dead coexist in a terrifying dance, a place where nightmares come to life. The Stanley Hotel was built in 1909 by Freeland O. Stanley, the co-inventor of the Stanley steamer automobile. Stanley, suffering from tuberculosis, was advised to move to a drier climate. He fell in love with Estes Park, Colorado, and decided to build a luxurious hotel that would attract the wealthy and elite. The hotel quickly became a popular destination, known for its stunning architecture and modern amenities. But it wasn't long before strange occurrences began to unsettle guests and staff. One of the earliest tragedies occurred in 1911, when a chambermaid named Elizabeth Wilson was working on the 4th floor. A gas leak caused an explosion, throwing her down a flight of stairs and breaking both her ankles. Despite her injuries, Elizabeth continued to work at the hotel until her death. To this day, guests report hearing her limping footsteps and feeling her presence in the hallways. But Elizabeth is just one of many spirits said to haunt the Stanley Hotel. Room 217 in particular is infamous for its paranormal activity. It's said that a former housekeeper who died in the same explosion still tends to the room, unpacking guests' luggage and tucking them into bed. In 1974, author Stephen King and his wife, Tabitha, stayed at the Stanley Hotel. They were the only guests in the hotel that night, as it was the off-season. King was given room 217, a room already known for its ghostly reputation. That night, King experienced something that would change his life in the world of horror forever. As he wandered the empty halls, he felt an overwhelming sense of unease. He claimed to hear phantom parties in the ballroom, the sound of laughter and music echoing through the corridors. But the most chilling moment came when he returned to his room. King later described a vivid nightmare in which his young son was being chased through the halls by a fire hose. When he woke up, he began writing The Shining, a novel that would become one of the most iconic horror stories of all time. The Stanley Hotel had left its mark on him, and he, in turn, left his mark on the hotel. The Stanley Hotel is home to countless spirits, each with its own story. Freeland O. Stanley and his wife Flora are said to still roam the hotel. Guests have reported seeing Freeland in the lobby and billiard room, often accompanied by the smell of cigar smoke. Flora, a lover of music, is said to play the piano in the music room, her melodies drifting through the hotel late at night. The 4th floor, once the servants' quarters, is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Children's laughter echoes through the halls, even when no children are present. Doors slam shut on their own, and shadowy figures are seen darting around corners. Some guests have even reported being touched or pushed by unseen hands. One of the most terrifying encounters occurred in room 418, where a guest claimed to wake up in the middle of the night to find a figure standing at the foot of their bed. The figure, described as a tall man with a hollow face, simply stared at them before vanishing into thin air. In 2016, a group of paranormal investigators decided to spend a night at the Stanley Hotel, hoping to capture evidence of its hauntings. They set up cameras in room 217, the 4th floor hallway, and the ballroom. What they experienced that night would leave them forever changed. At 3 a.m., the cameras recorded the sound of a woman screaming. Moments later, the investigators heard footsteps running down the hallway, but when they opened the door, no one was there. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly, and one of the investigators claimed to feel an icy hand grab their shoulder. As they reviewed the footage, they saw something that sent chills down their spines. In the corner of room 217, a shadowy figure appeared, its face twisted into a grotesque smile. The figure seemed to glide toward the camera before vanishing. But the most terrifying moment came when they entered the ballroom. The investigators heard the sound of a piano playing, even though the room was empty. As they approached the piano, the lid slammed shut on its own, and the sound of children's laughter filled the air. The investigators fled the room, vowing never to return. To this day, the Stanley Hotel remains a place of mystery and terror. Whether it's the ghost of Elizabeth Wilson, the spirits of the Stanley family, or something far more sinister. One thing is certain, the Stanley Hotel is not for the faint of heart. Guests continue to report strange occurrences, phantom footsteps, disembodied voices, and the feeling of being watched. Some even claim to see the shadowy figure of the Balloon Man, a spectral entity said to haunt the surrounding woods. So, if you ever find yourself staying at the Stanley Hotel, keep your doors locked, your lights on, and your senses sharp. Because in this hotel, the past is always present, and the dead are never truly gone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more terrifying tales. And let me know in the comments, would you dare to spend a night at the Stanley Hotel? Until next time, stay safe and remember, not all guests check out.